Aftermath, released April 1966 by Decca Records, is the fourth British studio album by the Rolling Stones. It was released in the United States in June 1966 by London Records as their sixth American album. The album is considered an artistic breakthrough for the band, being the first full-length release to consist entirely of Mick Jagger-Keith Richards compositions. Brian Jones played a variety of instruments not usually associated with rock music, including sitar on Paint It Black, the Appalachian dulcimer on Lady Jane, and I Am Waiting, the marimbas on Under My Thumb, and Out of Time, harmonica on High and Dry, and Goin Home, a Japanese koto on Take It or Leave It, as well as guitar and keyboards. Much of the music was still rooted in Chicago electric blues. It was the first Rolling Stones album to be recorded entirely in the U.S., at the RCA Studios in California, and their first album released in true stereo. In August 2002 both editions of Aftermath were reissued in a new remastered CD and SACD digipack by Decca Records, with the UK version containing an otherwise unavailable stereo mix of Mother's Little Helper. Could You Walk on the Water? Several of the songs on the album were initially meant for the US release Could You Walk on the Water? This LP was rejected by Rolling Stone's American record company, London Records, who instead opted for the Greatest Hits package Big Hits. The track list for the shelved album includes Take It or Leave It, Mother's Little Helper, Think, Goin Home, and Don't Bother Me. Of these, all 5 would be released on the UK version of Aftermath, 3 on the US version. Of the remaining tracks, 19th Nervous Breakdown, and Sad Day were released as a single, Sittin' on the Fence, and Ride On, Baby were later to be released on the US album Flowers, along with Mother's Little Helper, and Take It or Leave It. Looking Tired remains unreleased to this day. Release history: as with all the Stones' pre-1967 LPs, different editions were released in the UK and the US. This was a common feature of British pop albums at the time. The same practice was applied to all the Beatles albums prior to Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Because UK albums typically did not include tracks that had already been released as singles. The original British version of Aftermath was issued in April 1966 as a 14-track LP. Issued between the non-LP single releases of 19th Nervous Breakdown and Paint It Black, Aftermath was a major hit in the UK, spending 8 weeks at number 1 on the UK album chart. A recording of the song Take It or Leave It was released by The Searchers on a single a few days before this album. Track listing: all songs written and composed by Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. A North American release, the American version featured different cover art and a shorter running order that eliminated Out of Time, Take It or Leave It, What to Do, and Mother's Little Helper. All 4 tracks were later issued in the US on other compilations, and Mother's Little Helper was also issued as a single in 1966, peaking at number 8 on the Billboard charts. In their place, the album substituted their current number 1 hit Paint It Black. The revamped Aftermath still reached number 2 in the US, eventually going platinum. In 2002, the US edition of Aftermath was ranked number 108 on the list of Rolling Stone's 500 greatest albums of all time. Track listing: all songs written and composed by Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. Personnel: the Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger lead vocals, backing vocals, harmonica, percussion, Keith Richards guitars, backing vocals, Brian Jones guitars, slide guitar, piano, organ, harpsichord, marimba, sitar, percussion, Appalachian dulcimer, harmonica, koto on Take It or Leave It, Bill Wyman bass guitar, backing vocals, organ pedals, Charlie Watts drums, percussion, additional personnel, Jack Nitzke piano, organ, harpsichord, percussion, Ian Stewart piano, organ. Chart positions, album, singles, certifications, references. External links: link to Patti Smith piece for Cream, January 1973, detailing her response to the Rolling Stones and Aftermath.